Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery podcast are proud to bring you Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast. Join your hosts, Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, as they address the real issues in health and wellness for first responders. From physical and mental health to relationships and work-life balance, we leave no stone unturned. Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, as well as iHeartRadio. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery answering the calls.
Everybody, welcome to Answering the Call, First Responders Podcast. I am Mike Miles, the Podfather, and I'm here with
Jersey Ed, guys. Jersey Ed, Studio G, everybody.
I'm in Studio C, out as in Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
How you been, Podfather?
Good. I can't wait till we're reunited, as they say, because this is good. I love being able to do a podcast with all this great technology. But
absolutely.
I can't smoke in my office, and I'm watching you smoke that cigar, and it's kind of getting me a little jealous.
Quick, I want to tell you about a special guest that we have standing by, waiting for her to come on. Anna Courie from AT&T FirstNet and AT&T Services. So we're going to bring her on in a minute, and there's a reason why we're bringing her on.
Is that Dr. Anna Courie you're talking about?
Doctor.
Oh, yes.
Doctor.
Okay.
What do you guys say? Doctor? How do you say it? It's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
Doctor. What are you, a Massachusetts guy? What's up with you? So she's from FirstNet, built with AT&T, and that's some pretty cool stuff for you first responders to listen to. So just hang on. You got to get through a couple more seconds of Podfather and me. Numbers. If you want to get a hold of us, you can call us at 617-379-1163 or email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. And I do want to also talk about the COP line, which we've been giving out some numbers. It's a great organization. And if you go to copline.org and check out, there's a lot of help for the first responders out there, especially for the cops. Or you can call the COP line directly if you have any questions, or if you think you might have something going on. It's 800-COP line, and that's 800-267-5463. That is a helpline. The first number, the 617 number I gave you, is not a helpline. So please just make sure you call it's 800-COP line, and there's over 100 volunteers, Podfather, that help out the first responders if they're in crisis. So that's
a wonderful thing, and as we know, it's a very stressful job, especially the last several months. So feel free to call. Don't let your pride get in the way. If you need help, we're here.
It's okay not to
call us. You can contact us as well.
Yeah. Well, Podfather, we have a very accomplished young lady with us today. She claims she listens to us a lot, and she's actually I'll read a little bio here for Dr. Anna Courie, Director of Responders Wellness at AT&T FirstNet, AT&T Services. Anna leads AT&T's commitment to first responders' health and wellness. Joining the team in May of 2020, Anna is responsible for creating, developing, and implementing FirstNet marketing strategies, campaigns, and programs that will advance first responders' health and wellness program. And Anna, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's just a pleasure to be here with you guys. I really am excited about it.
Good. We've heard a lot about you, that you listen to us, and me and Podfather were floored that we have any listeners, but I guess they're out there.
I think you have more than you know.
I know.
When I started doing research into first responder health and wellness, and, I like to hear from the boots on the ground folks, y'all were one of the first things that popped up in terms of the social media platforms. And I really did get hooked listening to it and the stories. And it just reaffirmed that the health and wellness of first responders is critically important, and that we continue to advance this message in any way that we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, I think it's important. to say that I can see the difference now. I just had a conversation with a friend of ours. He's a retired Everett cop, and he does an awful lot for police officers and their families. And I needed to get some information about an EAP program, specific police program, and he gave me the information. And we were talking about it, and I said, 35 years ago, you were lucky to find a doctor that would talk to you about any type of stress you had, because you were afraid as a cop. I was always afraid to talk about it. I didn't want to lose my ability to carry a firearm but there's so many options nowadays. I love this 800 cop line. That's wonderful. You're such an accomplished woman, Doctor. I was reading your bio. I read it twice. It blew me away. Was that Wurzburg, Germany you were in? Wurzburg?
I was. So I'm not only a nurse, but I'm married to a service member. My husband's an active duty Army officer, and his first duty station was with the 1st Infantry Division in Würzburg, Germany. Wow. So that's where I actually really got involved with working with soldier wellness. So some of the things that you're talking about with the stigma that's associated with addressing your mental and physical wellness were many of the same problems that we were facing early on in the global war on terrorism. And we wanted to be very proactive as we went around our approaches to addressing that with the soldiers with the 1st Infantry Division. So that's where I really started working with, what are the strategies that are effective with working with big populations? How do you take a complex problem like PTSD, depression, anxiety, or alcohol and drug abuse? Those are not easy problems to solve. There's no magic wand that's going to fix someone's problems. But there are things that organizations can do to influence the health and wellness of the populations that they're trying to serve. And so my experience from working with the Army, I worked with them for almost 18 years in their public health promotion program to address things that we just discussed, like PTSD, depression, mental health, traumatic brain injury, sexual assault, suicide prevention. The list really does go on and on.
Well,
and there are so many things from that experience that truly apply to the first responder population. They're not exactly the same, but there's a lot of commonalities to it.
Certainly. Wow.
Yeah,
you're really.
Okay,
go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
No, Anna, I just want to say something. The reason why Anna is on this show is because of her knowledge, number one, because of her tracking us down, number two. But the big reason, and this is the announcement that I've been waiting to make for a long time, is that that FirstNet built with AT&T is now officially the sponsor of Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast, due to Anna's persistency and Melissa. Now sponsored by FirstNet and AT&T. How cool is that, Podfather?
Yeah, we're very fortunate, and
I just wanted to get that in.
Sure. So I can see the veterans. Obviously, the vets are committing suicide at such a high rate. It's scary, the numbers that they put out there, over 20 a day nationwide, which is just I hear about this covert, and it's bad, but I hear about this, and it's almost like nobody's talking about it. Only people that are in the field, and it's just and police officers as well. We just had a police officer in the town of Beverly. He's retired, but he just took his own life yesterday, I believe, and he was a hero. He was decorated. These are situations that not only involves, it's obvious it involves the person who commits the suicide, but the families and the co-workers, and it's just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It has such an impact, not just to the individual, but the second and third order effects of how it impacts the families, the co-workers, and the healing, or the process of healing is really complicated when you're dealing with the suicides, whether we're talking about soldiers or first responders, is,
Sure.
You wish there was some sort of, again, the magic wand is a poor choice of descriptors, but everybody wishes that you could convey to that individual how much they were wanted and that they were needed in the lives that we lead. And so I think that one of the things that I know AT&T and FirstNet want to do with this program is raise awareness about the issues that are facing our first responders, because awareness is the first step. We want to be an advocate that their lives are vitally important, public safety is critical to the health of communities that we serve. And
Correct.
so it's very important that we're cognizant of the impact that running towards the fight does to
Right.
that individual. You know, we're not asking them to run away. No, these people, they see the problem and they're going forward.
It's
And,
amazing that, people have talked about defunding the police, and a poor choice of words. Even if people wanted to say, educate the police, retrain the police, give the police extra training, but to see that defund the police, I retired 5 years ago and I had 35 years as a police officer, but I see that sign there, it enrages me because it's just so idiotic. It doesn't make any sense. It's a scary thing. And I was thinking, if I was a young cop, just coming on this job, and I saw that, it would take the wind out of my sails, just to think that maybe one person might be thinking along those lines.
And
What do
we
you think?
keep mentioning FirstNet, AT&T FirstNet, AT&T FirstNet. It's great to have you guys as a sponsor and all that, but what is FirstNet and how did it begin? How did you like FirstNet? Is that the first net you fall into? When you're on a trapeze? I don't know. Tell us a little bit about FirstNet and how it began and.
I would love to. I would love to tell you about the FirstNet because honestly, when I took the job, I was unaware that there was a completely separate wireless broadband network. And if you told me at the beginning of my nursing career that I could talk to you about cellular networks now, I would have laughed at you. I would have thought that, this is never going to happen. I'm a nurse. But no, in all honest to God truth, I'm going to walk the dog back to 9/11. And so what happened during 9/11? First of all, technology is blooming across, cellular networks are blooming across the United States. And everybody has their cellular network, their cell phones. Everybody is starting to adopt this technology to communicate via wireless networks. And then something like 9/11 happened and everybody's trying to connect, whether they're at the Twin Towers or if they're at the Pentagon or on the flight, they're picking up their cell phones and they're trying to call. At the same time, public safety is trying to respond to this absolutely horrific event in our nation's history. And what's happening is calls are dropping. People are having lag times. It's very difficult for the EMS, the police, the fire, the trauma centers to come together and connect so that they can appropriately respond and triage and get people to the help they need as quickly as possible. And so during the post 9/11 commission, the federal government recognized that there was a serious problem with the communications infrastructure in public safety, that to have public safety on the same network as the commercial network created a communications issue. And we saw, we've seen that play out post-Katrina with the wildfires in multiple different instances where public safety has had to share the commercial network. And so the federal government established the First Responder Network Authority, and they charged them with establishing the FirstNet. And that is the completely standalone broadband network just for first responders.
Right.
And in 2017, AT&T won that contract. It's a historic public-private partnership in which we're building out what's called Band 14. And that network, Band 14, is solely for first responders. It's the only one of its type. They have priority and preemption in the event of an emergency. They will, if for some reason congestion gets clogged on Band 14, AT&T will lift users up on the commercial AT&T network. So public safety is always able to do their jobs.
Wow.
It is really, really remarkable use of technology to keep us connected.
So
That's
innovative.
amazing.
Whoever came up with this, I mean, I'm sure it was a few people, but what a great idea. And believe me, I know that day. I remember as well, everybody, I mean, who wasn't trying to contact somebody that they knew either was on the flight or in New York?
So Anna, I'm just going to get this clear up. So the FirstNet is going to be a separate system for first responders, just in case there's like another, God forbid, another 9/11 or another catastrophe, that they will have priority to communicate back and forth without dropping calls without getting, Mike calling me and me calling a podfather back and forth, that type of thing. We will be completely separate from the FirstNet.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely. Cool. And it's not will be built. It is being built. It's 80% built out. We have over 1.7 million connections to date, 14,000. I think it's over 14,000 public safety agencies currently are part of the FirstNet. And what they're finding is the interoperability between the different organizations that are not necessarily under the same command and control lines are better able to collaborate to respond when events happen. Because events continue to happen. I mean, the wildfires of this year, the COVID pandemic response, I mean, it's going on right now.
It's always going to be something. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
You're first. First to respond. First to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first. That connects you to technology, to each other, and to other agencies. Built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only congressionally authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Alrighty, welcome back. Answering the call, the First Responders Podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
And I'm Jersey Ed here in Studio G. Podfather, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. First of all, I'd like to thank our new sponsor, FirstNet by AT&T, built with AT&T. We can say that now, and we will be saying that. Right. And I'm proud to say that, actually. And Dr. Anna Courie is with us, and she was just talking about the FirstNet system. And I got a quick question for you, Anna, Podfather, if you don't mind. I'm going to throw this question out. Why is it so important that organizations opt for the first responders, this specific telecommunication service? I know we touched on it right before the break, but go into a little bit more detail on that, if you don't mind.
Well, absolutely. I mean, as I mentioned before, what do first responders do? They run towards the problems, right? And so the last thing that you want to be doing is have your communication capability dropped because there's congestion on the network. You want to have that priority preemption. And the thing about the FirstNet is we have our FirstNet primary users, your police, your law enforcement, your dispatch, your fire, whether volunteer or professional, has access to FirstNet services on their personal devices, or if their agency is buying into being a part of the FirstNet. Now, there's also extended primary. So that gets a little bit more complicated, but individuals like myself, when I was an emergency room nurse, I would be considered an extended primary first responder because I collaborate with the primary first responders when patients are being transported between the critical event to the trauma center or the emergency room. Same thing with emergency room doctors. And so why would we want this? It's that interoperability, that seamless connection and communication so that we have more effective, more efficient, better rapid responses to getting our community safe in the event of truly tragic events. And not just, saying that we need this in the event of a 9/11 or a Las Vegas shooting, but there's everyday things that we have to address. I mean, the hurricanes that are going on like right now. Right. So one of the things the FirstNet has that's truly unique is, okay, we can't control if a hurricane comes through and takes out cellular towers, right? But part of the FirstNet is they have 76 deployable assets that run towards that hurricane, and they can have cellular towers on the back of the the trucks. They're called cows and colts. They will also have drones that have cell towers on them in the event that you're in a truly rural area and you need to have cellular connectivity, like in our wildfire response. There's so many portions so that our public safety departments already are able to say, look, we got a hurricane coming on the way. We know we're going to need help. Can we order up deployables? And the FirstNet is prepared. We have what's called a response operations group. It's our own first responders that go towards wherever our public safety officials are responding.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really amazing and so necessary.
It's a backup for the cellular system, basically, that this we are just talking about. So wow, that is so cool. So now we know what it specifically does. We know it's specifically for the for the first responders only, but there's a little bit more to this. It's not just about the communications. Obviously, yes, it is. It's about the communications, but you have another thing in mind here, or you guys are going for something else here as far as the health and wellness of first responders, on top of keeping them communicated. But you guys took it a step further. Not only did you put this whole huge system up that's 80% built and you can't have a hurricane knock it out, you guys want the health and wellness of the first responders intact also. So that is the part that I'm interested in. I love all the stuff and all
I had a feeling you would care about that. I do too. I'm glad. I mean, I love talking about the FirstNet, but truly you hit the nail on the head. We have no obligation in our contract to address the wellness of first responders. We don't have to do this. But I think, first of all, we have visionary leadership at FirstNet. Our SVP, Mr. Jason Porter, he is a former West Point graduate. He has served on active duty, and he remembers and has experienced what it's like to lose a brother in arms to suicide. And when he was working with the different chiefs from the different departments as FirstNet was being built out, and hearing the stories of line of duty deaths and loss of officers to suicide and the impact of post-traumatic stress, Jason had a vision for something more. And he's right, because we can build the most beautiful network, and we have, but without first responders, it's just a network. We need the people have to be healthy, well, resilient, and able to keep running towards the fires, the shootings, the things that go wrong, because unfortunately we can't, so far we've not been able to fix the human condition or environmental disasters that continue to occur. And so we need those people and we need to take care of them. So with my program, when Jason brought me on, he recognized my experience from my work with the US Army and how it would translate well to AT&T. And it's a unique situation because so many of the departments, the different associations that support first responders, whether we're talking IACP or FOP or IAFC, EMT, so on and so on. I mean, I could list them all. There's many of them that have amazing wellness programs. They are embracing the need for first responder health and wellness, and they're doing incredible work. What AT&T wants to do is support that effort in whatever way we can. Now, there's two things that we're already doing because it fits naturally with the infrastructure of FirstNet. So first and foremost, what does AT&T do? We establish communication and collaboration, right? I mean, we're a network. We want to bring people together. And so we want to leverage that capability to raise awareness, identify resources that can help first responders with the problems that they face, and use those platforms that we have to get that information out in in multiple different frameworks. That's why we're exploring podcasts and social media and blogging and different things like that. We also in the FirstNet have an app catalog, which is it's got over 150 applications that support public safety. And when I came on, I said to Jason and the team, I said, we need to leverage that capability to identify digital applications that support first responder health and wellness, because that's what people are doing now, especially with COVID, with telehealth. You guys have talked about running your AA meetings over Zoom and handling your consultations via Zoom and telehealth platforms. I don't think that's going to change, even if things, quote unquote, go back to normal post-COVID. I think there are parts of the digital platform that are very, very appealing to individuals. It feels very private. They can retain some degree of anonymousness. They don't have to tell anybody they're leaving for an appointment. So we want to not just address like clinical health needs, but really expand into wellness applications that are directed specifically at first responders to help them with their critical problems.
Well, that's quite an answer. I really, you're very intuitive. I love your energy. I'm listening to you, Doctor, here, and honestly getting goosebumps. Ed and I started doing these podcasts over 2 years ago, and we were just doing it to help people with recovery. Then a year later, we decided to help first responders, because we know a lot. I was a first responder and a veteran. So we started answering the call. And for this to happen the way this is happening, it's almost like, it's kind of like a miracle for us. We're so happy to be involved. And but listening to you speak, you're so knowledgeable, and I love it. Good stuff.
I want to just piggyback off of something you said about our AA meetings, our online AA meetings with first responders. And Podfather was a speaker at one of them. He pops on every once in a while we do 2 meetings a day, 7 noon time and 7 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And I get a lot of first responders on the 7 p.m. meetings. And what I find with the first responders, and Podfather, we spoke about this 1,000 times on these shows, is that they can turn off their camera and they can listen. They don't have to be seen. They don't even have to talk, because this program is not, especially when you get into recovery, this program is not about blabbing out there and getting on a podcast and, saying I'm 3 days sober. It's about listening, taking all the information and changing your stinking thinking. And that's what these guys do. I see a lot of first responders just go blank on the screen and just listen. And that's what, like you said, these platforms that you guys are searching, and this is one of them, is able to do with the with a lot of the AA and NA people and people who wanted to stay anonymous for a while. And Podfather, we always talk about you always kind of being apprehensive in your early recovery, going to an AA meeting, because, hey, that's Mike, the cop that arrested me. You were always apprehensive about going. But obviously he's over that now, but that younger cop the young Mike Miles is now able to do that with this platform.
And I agree with the telehealth. There are a lot of people that just don't want to leave the house. They're agoraphobic, or they're just full of anxiety. And they don't even have to be in recovery. They can just be a mental health situation. But I think what Dr. Courie was saying, going forward, this is going to be, as a result of this covert situation, going forward, this is going to be I think it's going to be a real plus, meaning the communication via Zoom or telehealth.
Yeah. And
hey, what a great show.
Yeah. Get in. I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with the Podfather, because one of the applications that we identified recently, and we're actually doing a sponsorship with the All Clear Foundation. They have a Responder Relate peer-to-peer chat app, which allows for anonymous chat rooms for first responders only to enter into. They have PTSD chat, financial health chat, relationship chat, career progression, you name it. There's alcohol and drug abuse, there's toxic leadership, there's all sorts of different topics that face first responders, and they can download the app, create an anonymous user ID, and they don't have to see anyone. They can just chat, and they know that they're talking with their peers that can understand what they have gone through themselves, because we know from the literature that first responders actually respond very well to peer-to-peer networks, because they feel like those who've walked the line with them can understand what they've experienced themselves.
100%. I've been doing this for 20 years, and you're so right. cops will talk to cops, or people in the line of work, and firemen and correctional officers and veterans. Hey, Ed, can we have Dr. on again down the road? What a great guest.
I do have. We have a couple more minutes, so we're gonna use all her time up. I do want to ask you one last question, and a lot of first responders are listening here, and they're probably wondering, okay, this FirstNet thing is so cool. I really want to get on this. Is it for me, or is it just for like the people who are chasing hurricanes, or the fire, Boston firefighters, or the New York police? How can an individual get sign up for the FirstNet? Is it possible, and how?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So first and foremost, you go to firstnet.com. There is a link on there where you can sign up and talk to a care consultant right online. You can actually go to your AT&T store and say, I want to sign up for FirstNet, and if you want face-to-face interaction with a consultant or an individual. But yes, so first responders would have to bring their credentials as falling into that category of fire, police, law enforcement, dispatch. The firemen can be professional or volunteer. Your nurses that are ER nurses and ER docs can bring their credentials in and qualify. They don't have to wait for their agency to sign up themselves. And if their agency is already signed up on FirstNet, they can also still get their personal accounts on the FirstNet.
And is this for family also? Can the family be on their plan and everything?
Unfortunately, no. That's the one thing.
Okay.
So because it's just for first responders, the FirstNet is for first responders. Cool. Now, obviously, AT&T has friends and family plans that they can work out with those individuals. But for the FirstNet, you have to fall in that primary or extended primary category to qualify.
Nice. Yeah, because us civilians have everything. We have AT&T. We have, I have 1,000 AT&T plans. I think I support half of you guys between my father-in-law, my kids, my wife, me, everybody. So, anyways,
you can't do it. So don't
do it. So
I'll let you know all about it. I'll show you.
FirstNet, built with AT&T. Anna, Courie, it was wonderful having you on this show.
Certainly was.
It is a pleasure to have FirstNet as a sponsor now. So officially today, we kick off the sponsorship of FirstNet built with AT&T. And I am so proud. Podfather, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the message that we get out here. I'm proud of AT&T saying, you know what, we're going to pick out somebody who's doing something for somebody, and let's get the word out. And we're very proud of that, Anna. And thank you so much for being a friend of ours and kind of pushing it to be on this show. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And I want to thank you all for what you're doing, because it really is a matter of getting the word out. And I truly believe it's the face-to-face, the people that are reaching out to help first responders that are making the best difference. And when AT&T can support those efforts, then we're doing the right thing for responder health and wellness.
Absolutely. Dr. Courie, we'll be talking to you again.
Thank
positive.
You.
Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah. And of course, Podfather, we'd like to thank our sponsor, FirstNet, built by AT&T, for standing by us and sponsoring us. And Podfather, you want to take us out?
Yeah, I certainly will. The Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast, and
stay safe, everybody.
what I was waiting for.